Let them hear me. Hey, if you guys don't know, we have some blank sheets of paper and pen over there, if in case you want to take notes or draw, because sometimes that helps us remember, be able to focus. There's also Bibles on either side of the room, both so that you can draw on that piece of paper and also follow along. If you don't know how to get through it, have a leader help you. We'd love to help you. And I think that's all the information I have for you today. We are continuing our fight series as we've been going through fight verses. We have 2 more of these left, and the second to last is none other than Tommy! Get off the stage, Tommy! Also, it's his birthday! I know, so please be extra nice to him. We want him. Wow, okay. I'm going to pray for Tommy, and then I'm giving it to him. Jesus, thank you so much for Tommy. Thank you so much for his birthday. I'm super glad that he's a part of my life and just get to have him here on the stage today. We love you, Lord. Amen. One more time for Tommy.
How's it going, everyone? I don't know if you heard him, but my name's Tommy. How's it going? Thank you. Okay. So, let's get one thing out of the way. I am not a public speaker. So, yeah. Bear with me, guys. So, yeah, I am the leader for, one of the leaders for the 7th and 6th grade boys. So, yeah. You guys gotta listen up this week. I'm looking at you, Jacob. No Brawl Stars. Thank you. All right, so yeah, I was actually a student here, and then I graduated and never left, so I guess I'm a leader now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. All right, so what do we got up there? Slide, please. Thank you. All right, so this series is called Fight. And, you know, I am not really one to just pick a verse and just be like, yeah, I guess. If that works for you, then great. But I'm a storyteller, and I love stories. So, yeah, this is one of my favorite chapters in the Bible. And I'm going to explain to you guys why I love it. And I'm going to read it to you guys. And if you want to, close your eyes and meditate on it, then, go for it. But here it goes. All right. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now, I know that this is kind of a cliche. I'm sure you can go to your grandma's house and find it framed on her wall somewhere, but the hype is real. I love this, and I always find myself coming back to it in times of need. And I will get into the story soon, but I just wanted to give you more context about this. It was written by David, King David, yeah, that David. And, I really love David's story, and, he just has some of the, biggest highs and lows throughout his life. At one point he's defeating giants, and then another point his son's hunting him. So, yeah, what a guy. And yeah, this psalm is written from the perspective of a sheep. You and I are the sheep. David's the sheep. God is the shepherd. And I don't know how much you guys know about sheep, but they're kind of dumb. So We need a shepherd. It's easy to get lost. And my favorite verse out of this is probably the beginning. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. I lack nothing, whatever. And yeah, I just feel like David was really cooking when he wrote this. You know, have you guys like seen that meme where like the dude's like writing on paper and like it's catching fire? That's literally David right there. So please get my reference. But yeah, the common theme of this is that God takes care of us, his sheep, and he gives us what we need in times of need. And he's actually done that for me. So I'm going to get into that. Let's see. Slide. That's me. I am on a really tall mountain. And it doesn't look it, but I am dying. Oh, yeah, it is the same shirt, isn't it? I should have brought the backpack. Oh, is it the same pants? That's crazy. You're not going to believe this. It's the same shoes, too. But I didn't plan that. But I'm a dork. But anyways, this was my backpacking trip I did last year. Yeah, it was around Mount Baker. We hiked through the Cascades. It was a 6,000-foot mountain. And it was a 3-day backpacking trip. 30. So that was 10 miles a day. Yeah, so I mean, I guess it happened during like 4th of July week, so I could say I was on a mountain during America's birthday. I don't know if that counts for anything, but yeah. Day 1 was definitely intense. It was, it was kind of like that type 2 kind of fun, you're just focused on the negative, and then you look back at it and you're just like, actually, that was pretty fun. But yeah, first day, terrible. I learned a lot of things. Don't mess with mountains. Animals are pretty cool in the wild. And switchbacks is just a fancy word for the devil. So yeah, first day we just we went up, back and forth, back and forth. It was never over. And we had guides, so they were pretty cool. They were all right. They were both also new. It was like their first time bringing people on the mountain, so some of the time I was just like, these guys are awesome. Another part of me just wanted to punch them in the gut. But a common theme was they would always say, camp is just around this mountain, over here. It was never around the corner, dude. We walked till midnight, but we made it eventually. So, yeah. We get to camp later than expected. I'm in immense pain. I feel awful. I learned that I can't eat when I'm stressed, so which kind of sucks because you need to eat to have the energy to, carry on. And I'm just like, I don't want to do anything, man. So, yeah. The guides were seriously worried about us, me especially. And they were just like, we're going to talk tomorrow, see what tomorrow is going to look like. Because at this point, we only done like 10 miles out of the 30-mile hike. So we were worried about that. So we set up camp. I slept okay. It's kind of hard to sleep when your body's in pain. But anyways, because of that, I was able to get up a little early. And, we're on a mountain, so, I walked off. I brought my Bible with me, same Bible right here. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to read the Bible like treat it like it's normal, So at the time, I was going through 1 Samuel. And I think you can go. Yeah, perfect. And usually when I do my Bible reading, I start off with a psalm, and then I go on to whatever I'm going through at the time. So, yeah, 1 Samuel, reading about David, and I just so happened to be on chapter 23. I'm going to read it for you guys. So they sent out and went to Ziph, and I apologize if I pronounced this incorrectly, ahead of Saul. Now David and his men were in the desert of Mon and the Araba, yeah, south of Jeshimon. Saul and his men began the search, and when David was told about it, he went down to the rock and stayed in the desert. When Saul heard this, he went into the desert in pursuit of David. Saul was going along one side of the mountain, and David and his men were on the other, hurrying to get away from Saul. As David and his forces were closing in on David and his men, oh, that made no sense. Saul and his forces were closing in on David and his men to capture them. So, it's a pretty cool story. I was quickly humbled. The fact that David also climbed a mountain in the Bible was super cool, but he's also running for his dear life. And I'm just over here. I'm like, man, what am I complaining about? So yeah, it's kind of funny how that happened, I feel like I needed that, and I remember it through this day. So, and it's not just a coincidence. That's God working. So, yeah. And that story just makes me love Psalms 23 even more. Because, even though David, is going through trials, running for his dear life from Saul, he's able to recognize that God's with him and God's protecting him. So, yeah. He actually writes a lot of the Psalms, and they're all lovely. But, then again, we're riding fire. So, yeah. I think there's another photo. Can we check? Awesome. Yep, these were the dudes that I climbed the mountain with. I think you might see some recognizable faces. Yeah, we look happy, but we're all dead inside. But just take note of the mountains, in the back. It makes me miss it. But yeah, more photos. That was one of the snowbanks we had to walk across. They didn't get the whole picture, but if you fall, you die. But more mountains, just really lovely, really nice to be in nature. We even saw a bear, and it was so cool. It was pretty far away though, so it kind of just looked like a little dot, but we saw a bear. Yeah, that is snow. In the middle of July, beginning of July. But yeah, I could talk about this all day, but I think we gotta keep going. So, next slide, please. Thank you. All right. So I wanted to also talk to you guys, or read this to you. Also during last summer, I did that backpacking trip. We also did a bunch of theology classes. So we had different professors come up and talk to us. And we had one guy from Whitworth, and he was really cool. He was the only dude that gave us homework though, so that kind of sucked. But he had us read through each of the gospel each day. So yeah, me being the stellar A+ student I was, barely made it through Matthew. So I ended up reading the rest later, but I made it through Matthew, and that's what counts. So anyways, reading through it, and I come across this story. And this woman here, she's one of my favorite characters out of the Bible. And I can't wait to meet her in heaven and know her name. So here we go. Just then, a woman who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak. She said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." Jesus turned and saw her. "Take heart, daughter," he said. "Your faith has healed you." And the woman was healed at that moment. So, I love this story because, well, first, that's freaking awesome. Second, that's so iconically Jesus to me. Stopping for people like us. And a little more to the story, he was actually on his way to perform a miracle, and he just ended up healing this woman on his way. You know, that's just nuts to me. So, yeah. But what I wanted to focus on was, yeah, she was healed, and that's amazing. But God, you know, she knew, like, if I touch his cloak, I will be healed. It could have been done like that, right? No. God actually turned to her and recognized her. And I just think us as Christians need to take note of God's character in this moment and how he was willing to stop and, you know, talk to this woman, even though he could have kept, like, walking away. But it just shows how much he loves us and how much he wants, you know, a relationship with us. And, yeah. We need to be like that. You know, stopping in our tracks to give someone a Band-Aid or something like that. You know, it doesn't even have to be like that. Just stopping in our tracks and, you know, offering encouragement to our friends or to others. Just showing them how God's working through our lives, right? So, take me for example. When, you know, quarantine happened, I was a freshman in high school, right? So I lost 2 years of my high school life. And, you know, through quarantine, it really, like, makes and breaks a lot of relationships and friendships, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys were in the same boat there. But, like, through that, I just had a prayer. I can remember it to this day. I was in a dark place, and I prayed to God to just put people in my life, you know, people that I could call lifelong friends. And I wasn't ready for it, but he answered that prayer. He answered it hard. So, yeah. How did these friends of mine stumble upon me in my brokenness? I don't know. But they were just simply living the mission, you know, just being Christians on their way of doing stuff that's already incredible through God. They were willing to stop and see me, much like Jesus was in this moment. So, yeah. You wouldn't have never have been able to climb up that mountain if it wasn't for my buddies in that photo. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys if it wasn't for Connor inviting me when I was like, in 8th grade? Freshman. Thank you for that. So, yeah. I'm really stepping out of my comfort zone here because I don't know. I hope you guys do the same. You can't reach out to people if you stay in your little bubble all the time. If you ever heard of a story of someone being saved by sitting around playing Fortnite all day, if you have, send him my way. I want to meet him. But, yeah. It could be hard, but it's always worth it. Can you go to the next slide, please? That's me at Camp Spalding. There's this activity you could do called high ropes. It was this, and then I also wanted to talk about the zip line, but I didn't get any photos of that. But basically, you climb up a tree and you go through like all these obstacles. And I am severely afraid of heights, but you know, I kind of got pressured into doing it, so there I am. I look happy. Everyone before me, they were already done. I was taking my sweet little time because, you know, yeah, super fun. And it was at night, so you look down and you just see darkness. So I could have died that day. That guy right there, he was kind of like, he's a friend of mine, mentor. He stayed with me the whole time, so that really helped. Living the mission. All right. let's see. All right. So, yeah, I guess what I wanted to get across is that God's people are built different. Why is that? It's because they trust God, right? You guys are in high school, middle school. You really need to take note in like what relationships you have around you. You know, there's gonna be people who build you up and people who want to break you down. So, yeah, going out of your way to help people like he did for me, it's definitely like a tough challenge, a tough like thing to do, especially if you don't like talking to people. Like, I'm an introvert, but I make a fool of myself here. So, yeah. I think we can go to the next slide. I also have some scripture to back this up, my claim. And this is from Ecclesiastes. And it goes like this. 2 are better than 1, because they have good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. So, yeah, just take note of that. So, yeah. How does one get used by God? It's like what I was saying before. You gotta step out of your comfort zone, guys. I told the senior guys this at man camp, so I guess I'll tell all of you guys now. But if you really want God to use you, you gotta go climb a freaking mountain, man. Take that as you will, but go find a mountain and climb it. It'll change your life. But yeah. I just want you guys to just really take this in, realize who you surround yourself with. You are who your friends are, right? So yeah. No one's gonna love you like God's people. And I'm living proof of that. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm super nervous right now, guys. So, thank you for bearing with me. Awesome. Fun fact: the last time I did anything that had to do with public speaking, I was also probably standing here giving my testimony. So. I only do it here. All right, so you guys need to find 5 verses, and you also need to put them to the test by climbing a mountain. You know, what's the point of having a 5 verse if you're not prepared to fight, right? So, yeah. If you don't think you can do it, I have a couple more verses that I want to give you guys as encouragement. The first one's from Joshua 1, verse 9, and it says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." All right. God's got us. This next one's from 2 Timothy 1, verse 7. And that says, "For the Spirit of God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us the power of love and self-discipline." Right? These feelings of doubt, they don't come from God, guys. God's calling us to put ourselves out there for his name's sake, right? Just like Psalms 23 says. So, yeah. If we can go back to that, Will. Sorry. Rewind. Thank you. All right. So, I want to walk you guys through another story. I don't have photos. Sorry. But I'm just going to tell you guys like examples of how God has used things in my life to comfort me through hard times. And I wanted to talk about my missions trip last year. I went to Yakima, and we served at this farm that was for little kids who like parents couldn't, take them home over the summer because they're like working. So we just went there and we just, we had a good time with those youngsters. But yeah, something that like changed my life. And I talked about this in front of church for like 30 seconds when Pastor Mark had me come up. But I'm playing trouble with two of the students, and they're waiting for their parents to pick them up, and they're just running late. And I'm just playing trouble with them, And, trouble is not very entertaining. You just press a button and move something. So, but they loved it because they're kids. But anyways, as I'm seeing like this as like just passing the time by, their parents finally show up, and they're just like, all right, it's time to go. And then I watch them as they practically beg their mother to let them stay and finish the game. And I was just like, geez, it's trouble, guys. Go home and do something fun. But just to see how a simple game like that meant so much to them, and it just made me think about like what they could be going through at home, and how it's good for like us as followers to, dedicate our time to other people. Even if we don't feel like we're, doing much, it could mean the world to someone else, right? So then after that, I took the rest of the week very seriously. I don't know what I was thinking, but another day I was playing Giant Jenga with another kid. And, we're like doing pretty good. And we had it like stacked, like the blocks were getting taller than him. They were getting up to like my size, and I was just like, oh, geez. But this is actually, like, it was actually pretty cool, guys. I'm not going to lie. We got it pretty high up. And, I go to pull another piece out, and the whole thing just falls apart. I watched as I shattered this whole kid's world, but I was just like, oh no, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I was just having fun. And he looks at me, and he says, it's okay. Mistakes happen. I'm just like, what the heck, man? I'm here to like help you guys. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing speaking into my life, right? Kids are funny. But yeah, last summer went hard. So yeah, I don't have much left. I apologize. But I just wanted to pray us out and have extended small group. Like I was talking before, like the people in your small group, if you choose it, those are going to be your best friends for years to come. So I'm going to pray. Dear God, I pray to thank you for everyone in this building. And I just pray that the students here, if they're like feeling doubt, I just want them to know that it is not coming from you. I want them to know that mistakes happen. You fail a test, you don't get into varsity, you run over Oprah. I just pray that you work through these students here and that you can use them to be lights in other people's lives. I pray that they can dedicate their lives to you. And let's see. I pray that God can send you guys to do his work. Amen.